Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ashleigh AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
How many times have you seen this situation happen? A lucrative SEO opportunity is identified and you start to put together a compelling business case. The difficulty level gets assigned. It gets prioritized in the wider pipeline. The ROI or forecast is calculated. You even have a killer slide deck, and this is presented to all the stakeholders and gatekeepers. You get really encouraging feedback straight off the bat. You feel pretty positive about SEO. You've absolutely crushed it. Who else but SEO to deliver such an amazing recommendation? But then you start to think, have we celebrated a bit too early? Because nothing happens. Or, even worse, you get stuck in SEO Groundhog Day, where you're having the same conversation with the same people over and over and over again. And this is happening more and more, particularly if you're a large company or enterprise SEO. At Built Visible, we carry out brand surveys to understand the different challenges that our clients and wider brands are facing. And normally for SEO, it's the same two things that tended to come back. So this would be things around securing long-term investment for SEO as a channel or finding the right people for your team. However, in the most recent survey, 80% of the stakeholder interviews that we did said that implementation or lack of implementation was the top concern. So to paint a really bleak picture just for a second, they always talked about this kind of vicious cycle that was happening. So when implementation goes down, performance tends to plateau or it starts to decline. When that happens, people get quite skeptical about SEO. And again, resource goes down, there's not enough people to implement in the first place, and the cycle repeats itself. And then you also get these really scary conversations that can start to happen behind closed doors. What are the SEO team even doing? And then they might even start to question the value of investing in SEO at all. But it's not all bad news. We can definitely break this cycle. But first, let's talk about why this is happening, and in particular, why it's happening more and more. So, like we've already covered today, there's a lot of BAU challenges. SEO is thought of this as a silo. It's not really marketing, and it's not really product. But we're going to come back to that a little bit later. There's often a lot of stories about mistrust, maybe some poor agency experiences in the past, as well as being seen as this mystery box, or Voldemort mystery. Being seen as a mystery box where money goes in and money comes out, maybe? We don't really know. It's really, really confusing. Okay, so what's new then? Why is this happening more and more? Well, we've got some new challenges. Restructures. And I don't want to stand up here and talk about really scary job loss statistics and really upset all of us. But I think it's really important to acknowledge that this is becoming a really big challenge, especially since COVID. So if we look at product teams, for example, a really key team for us to get SEO to happen, there was a really great survey by Mind the Product back in June, and they flagged that 92% of product managers feel like they're being asked to do more, but with significantly less time. So there's a lot more competing priorities, and SEO, unfortunately, isn't always one of them. And then our next challenge is shiny new things. And it's true that SEO's had lots of trends and fads over the years, but we're going to be talking about AI. And C-suites have AI as their North Star. C-suites are investing a lot of time and energy into these innovation projects. They really see it as the future of their companies. And again, ultimately it means that developers and product teams, they're focusing their attentions there instead. Okay, so what do these changes mean then for implementation of SEO? And I think it's true to say that we're all juggling a lot more. But when we're juggling a lot more, we're being asked to deliver BAU as well as innovation projects. But we need to sort of take a step back and think, well, why are we being tasked to do this? Why does the C-suite or senior stakeholders want innovation in the first place? And it actually comes from a good place. They don't want to get left behind. AI is being painted as this big revolution, and that if you don't jump on top of it now, it could be catastrophic for brands. So our problem isn't that SEO is dead. We want to cite a little Brighton cliche. Our real problem is a people one. And people are super complicated. So where do we start? How can we tackle this? Well, like we said, we've got some new challenges. I think we can broadly categorize these new challenges into two things. We've all got more responsibility. And we're also facing more complexity. So if we need a strategy or an approach to tackle this, we need to be tackling them head on. So how can we align commercially? How can we reduce complexity? And when we're doing this, we're actually going to execute it differently depending on who we're talking to, because organizations are really complicated. And if you're doing enterprise SEO, these are really complex organizations that we're dealing with. So to do it, we're going to be an SEO chameleon. We're going to be really tailoring our message and how we execute things depending on who we're working with. So we're going to look at our key stakeholders, and we can categorize them into 3 different groups. So yeah, we have the C-suite, we have marketing and product. So C-suite, they're always thinking big. They're really focused on innovation projects and wanting to drive companies forward. Marketers, yeah, we want to innovate, but we also need results because we need to be able to invest in the long-term future of a channel or the people in our teams. And then we have product. And they're thinking, how? How am I going to innovate and deliver BAU at exactly the same time? So I don't want to talk anymore about theory. I want to go and talk into how SEO has happened for anonymous client, global travel client, who we unfortunately can't reveal their name, or I'm now going to be calling them GTC. And the point isn't to stand on the stage and talk about amazing revenue growth and how great the rankings are. It's to focus on the fact that unblocking one project really built momentum because we unblocked 3 more projects. So to set the scene for GTC, they're a truly global travel company. They have hundreds of thousands of web pages, all targeting unique operating locations across the world. And there's over 20 different language and market combinations. Like a lot of travel organizations, they've suffered with a reduced headcount since COVID, in particular in their developer team, as well as having part of that team be outsourced as well. This has created a really bottlenecked pipeline, and they have an absolutely enormous backlog. They're also trying to work on upgrading some legacy systems and CMS issues. So they're doing a really complex migration as well, which is due to land now any day in the next 1 to 3 years. So with all this going on, we knew that we needed a project which we could demystify but be highly effective. Unoptimized metadata really fit the bill. And I know it's a really unglamorous subject to be stood on stage at Brighton and be talking about, but the whole thing here is that it's not complex. It's actually really easy. We could get people on board and build credibility and drive our more complex projects forward. But back to metadata. So we had tens of thousands of these unoptimized page titles and meta descriptions across the site, and no way to update these at scale, so everything was manually updated. So the solution, meta automation. That seems to make sense. But the problem was that this has never actually happened. It's never been implemented. There wasn't enough developer power to do the CMS upgrades needed for meta automation to come to life. But we really felt like this would be key to unblocking SEO. So knowing that every conversation that we would have with any stakeholder was going to start with, okay, well, how much money is this going to make me? We knew that we needed fresh revenue forecast numbers. At Built Visible, we have internal software that can do this for us. But if you're looking to get a head start on calculating ROI, revenue improvement, you can give me a shout and I can send some resources after. So with this forecast refresh, we validated that this was worth doing. The business impact seemed lucrative. We were all really excited about it. So business impact was there before. They didn't buy it then. Now we need to acknowledge people and their challenges. I don't have time, so I don't have time to learn about SEO being a key one. I don't get forecasts. I don't understand how rankings equals revenue. And then the last one, I don't check emails, which sounds crazy and ludicrous to those of us in marketing who are in our inboxes all day, every day. But this is really common for developer teams that do all their BAU on Slack. So we're going to take our new approach. We're going to look for ways to reduce complexity and align commercially. And as we said earlier, we're going to embrace this SEO chameleon when we do it, really tailoring and thinking about what we're saying, what we're doing, depending on the stakeholder. So firstly, reducing complexity. We got everyone that we needed in a room, so all the different stakeholders across the business, and we wanted to identify all the different steps that we would need to do for metadata automation, as well as understanding them a bit better as well. The first thing we noticed right off the bat, and this is something that a lot of agencies do, is that our cadence was slightly incorrect. It was wrong. We're often doing QBRs or delivering monthly reports at inopportune times, so the person receiving it in the product team wasn't actually very receptive to it. So one of the key things that we addressed straight away was making sure that we're working back from the product calendar and then making adjustments where needed. But back to our metadata, we mapped out our SEO process. And this is an oversimplified version of what we did, but we identified all the different products and endpoints that we possibly would need, and very quickly realized, yeah, this was blocked. We weren't going to be able to get anywhere anytime soon with this. The complex migration meant that we couldn't quite extract the data that we needed from these back-end systems. So being SEOs and being problem solvers, we thought, what if there's a workaround? What if there's another way that we can improve these page titles, but without relying on this automation aspect? So we thought about it and we refined the ask. Okay, we've already got some geographically rich data. We've got that from Schema. We've got various other data sources that we've collected. We've also got developer know-how. We can create Python scripts to create these titles ourselves. But the only thing we don't have is a way to get them onto the website. So we went from asking for meta automation to asking a functionality request. We wanted to have the ability to bulk upload page titles and meta descriptions, really reducing that complexity of what we're asking for. So now we've refined our ask, we still needed credibility. We needed people to believe what we were saying. And one of the key challenges was that people didn't understand SEO forecasting. And when you're explaining something to someone, one of the best things to have is real results to back you up. And metadata is a perfect one to do a split test or an A/B test. And fortunately, I'm not going to go through all the intricate details of how to do an A/B test or a split test. But again, if you'd like some more information on that, please do reach out and I'm happy to share. And I do also want to flag that when agencies sometimes deliver work, we just sometimes tend to throw it and then run away and hope that the main point of contact can figure out some of this more manual grunt work. But that's something that we can't do anymore. We really need to be making sure that we're shouldering these manual uploads and requests. So we offer to help with the actual uploading of these hundreds of page titles and meta descriptions as well. Because as we said earlier, time is something that we all have less of. And the best news for our A/B test is that we actually got results. So our control group was slightly down by about -5% year on year, but our test group was up nearly 80% year on year. So really encouraging results that we were all really excited about. But excitement's not enough. We also need to align commercially to our wider team. So as we said earlier, we met with our stakeholders and we flagged issues with cadence, also understanding SEO forecasting. And now we also needed to understand what are their revenue targets, what are their KPIs, what motivates them, what gets them up in the morning. The difference this time versus previous times was that we've actually got real results now backing up our SEO forecast. So everything seems a lot more believable. It's credible. We actually had credibility this time. And when we deliver these results to different stakeholders, we know, for example, that things need to be delivered in slightly different ways. So when we were talking to the product teams, we knew that they needed granularity. They needed confidence in the forecasting process because there are multiple product teams in a business, and each of them have their own revenue growth targets and KPIs that they need to tick off. So if a product manager is going to commit to an SEO project, they need to be really confident that their team's going to get rewarded. Now we come to marketing managers. So yeah, they don't necessarily need all the granular detail in terms of divvying up revenue growth and signing it off against team members. They just really wanted to know what the year-on-year SEO improvement was going to be. And to get people excited about SEO, we also look for ways to collaborate with other channels. So with bulk upload functionality, a really clear one for us was working with PPC teams. They got super excited about the fact that we could do combined testing. So we could have ad copy and meta descriptions be really complementary in the SERPs. Again, all great ways to get people talking about SEO, even when you're not in the room. And then finally, with our C-suite, we tailored the messaging so that we presented the number as an overall revenue growth number. So it wasn't just SEO is going to increase 20% year on year. It looked at the whole digital marketing lens, and they were a lot more excited about it. And no, they didn't want to know the intricacies of what a good page title looks like. But when we told them that this was foundational work that had to be done to ensure that the migration would be a success, and therefore laying the foundations as well for innovative AI projects that they were really excited about, that got them on board a lot quicker. And finally, we always made sure that we were sharing these news and updates directly to the stakeholders themselves. We didn't rely on monthly reports or QBRs to give key updates. We got graphs, snappy, short statistics, and we sent them to them directly, whether that was on email, Slack, or Messenger Pigeon, whatever their preferred method of communication, we made sure that they got it. And the best of it was that SEO actually happened. We were really excited about the results, and then they committed to the bulk upload functionality. And again, like I said earlier, it's not about talking about revenue or rankings. The idea is that we got momentum. We got a commitment for 3 more tickets. So to sum up, what can you do? For reducing complexity, make sure you adapt your cadence, delivering things at the right time for your product teams. Also make sure to post-it note your entire process so that you can identify any blockers that might be coming up and understand the true complexity of what you're about to undertake. Look for opportunities to shoulder and simplify wherever possible, easing the strain of your key marketing contacts and other collaborators. To align commercially, make sure you truly understand your stakeholders. For ROI or forecasting processes, make sure that everyone understands how that works. Get sign-off if you need to. For big companies, this might include sitting down with your finance teams. And then finally, make sure that you're amplifying your results. Don't be quiet about SEO, be really loud about it, and make sure that everyone can see what you're working on. And I hope this talk has helped to reinvigorate your approach to implementation, because ultimately, if we can reduce complexity and align commercially, we can build momentum to make SEO happen. Thank you very much. The slides are very long.